Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday evening. I decided to switch things up a little bit because I had been doing these live broadcasts during the day, which tends to, work really nicely for my schedule with kids in school and things. But I thought, why don't we switch things up this week and we'll do it in the evening, and then maybe we can get people who haven't had a chance to join us live can be with us. And there's a replay. So if you're watching, I would love to know where you're joining me from. Do me a favor and say hi in the comments so that I know that this is out there and working. And so if you allow StreamYard to see your comments, there should be a link in the description. If you're on Facebook, it'll be something like streamyard.com/Facebook, and that allows me to see, and Facebook to see just your name and your profile picture, just like Debbie. And she's there with her Angora bunny. Debbie, I don't remember the name of your Angora bunny, and I would love to know. So Debbie's joining us from Central Pennsylvania, and we've got, I hope I don't mispronounce it, Angelus from New York, Yonkers. So I'm also in New York, and I'm on Long Island, so not terribly far. Debbie says her bunny's name is Willie, and I think that's adorable. Love that. And Chris says, "Hi, sorry to be late. Had a little trouble finding you. Um, I'm glad that you're able to find me. Actually, now that you mention it, I'm just gonna go quickly in in the Facebook group. I'm gonna pin this video to like the announcements, the featured section, and hopefully that will make it easier for you to find me. So let me pin that, and hopefully that will work. All right, so let me go back here. All right, so Chris is new and joining us from Sacramento, California. So I'm so glad to have so many of you joining me this evening. This is wonderful. Some familiar faces, some new faces, and it just makes me so, so happy to have this time to connect with you, to chat with you. So you're welcome to, leave a message in the comments. If you don't want to grant permission to StreamYard, I absolutely understand. And you do not have to do that. You can also just type your name when you type the comment, and then I'll know who I am chatting with. So we are live right now in a few different places, and I'm trying to manage it all here. There's no team, just me. So we're live on my Facebook page and in my Double the Stitches Patterns Facebook group. And we're also live on YouTube, which is something new that I've been trying these last few weeks. So I can also see your comments no matter where you are right here on my screen, and it's wonderful. And so I have a lot of great stuff to share with you all today. And so let's jump in. So if I'm going to switch this so that the slide is bigger, because that is more important. And I want to take a minute. I really do like to start these progress parties off with celebrating you. And I want to tell you how incredibly proud I am of you all. If you haven't heard me say that, I want to make sure that you know knitting it takes time, it takes patience, it takes talent. And sometimes it's a little bit confusing. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult. Sometimes we, stretch our skills and we try things we haven't done before. This particular shawl, the LYS Love Shawl, has some decreases on the purl side, on the wrong side, instead of resting rows. And so when I design a shawl that has resting rows, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in detail. But resting rows is where on the wrong side of the project, or alternating rows, you are just knitting or purling. There are no complicated stitches. And so we had the benefit of that last year with the coterie shawl, but this year there's a little bit of tricky stuff in there. And so if you're struggling, if you're finding it a little bit hard, it's okay. Don't stress yourself out about it. And just know that I am really, proud of you for trying. And so proud of the beautiful projects that I've seen. And for those of you who have struggled a lot and have persevered and have kept going and kept working on it, and taken it out and tried again. It's yarn and it's time, and it's frustrating to maybe feel like you've lost time, but it's more time spent with your yarn, and what's better than that? And I also have a reminder for you of when our next LYS Love Knit Night is. That is on Saturday, June 10th, at this same time. So it's 7 o'clock for me in New York, but whatever time it is right now for you, that is what time we'll start. And that is on Saturday, June 10th. And that is going to be on a Zoom. So you have to register, and I'll share those details. And Jerry says, finally, I can see you. I'm glad you found me, Jerry. Hi, I hope you're doing well. And I have a peek at the giveaway prizes. I shared some, there's more prizes coming. I reached out to a few yarn shops and asked if they wanted to sponsor the giveaways. And so I got a response from a very lovely shop who is sending me some things in the mail, and I can't wait for that. But I'll share a few of the prizes with you in case you missed last week's live, so you'll know what those are, and I'll talk about how to enter those. We will have our progress party. I will share oh my goodness, Jerry. Jerry says, I am on my second shawl. That's wonderful. I think you are the second person only that I know of for sure who is working on their second shawl, and Shelly is the other. So I've got a peek inside the Stitch Society membership classroom for you, because I want to kind of show you, what's included, and a little bit of that. But for our current Stitch Society members, I'm actually showing off our new classroom that you haven't seen yet. So it's the same content, maybe a little bit better organized than it's been, and a little bit easier to navigate to. So I'm going to show you that. And Angelise says 7:10 p.m. in New York. That's right. Same for me. And then we'll talk a little bit about my Generations shawl, and I will pick the prize winners for the giveaway. I'm giving away 3 copies of the pattern to 3 random winners, and I'm going to draw those winners live. If you've seen my wheel of names before, then you know how that goes, but I get to be a little bit like Vanna White and spin the wheel. It's lots of fun. And then some Q&A, and there was a question posted this afternoon in the group that I'm going to talk about. And so if you have questions for me, pop them in the chat, and I will go ahead and answer them as we go if I can, or if not, then at the end, I'll make sure that anyone who is watching live that has a question lets me know, that I get back to them. If it's a bigger discussion, then I might message you or email you privately. And if you're watching on the replay, feel free, add your question in the chat or reach out to me. And I want to make sure no question goes unanswered. That is always my goal. Okay, so about those of you who might be struggling with the stitches, if you're still struggling, I mentioned this last week and maybe in the past before, but if you're struggling, put down the big shawl, grab your needles, grab some scrap yarn that you do not care about, and just practice the stitches. That scrap yarn that you have no idea what you're going to do with it, use that one. And cast on 29 stitches and follow along with the stitch by stitch videos. And those are at doublethestitches.com. And then this is all one word, LYS Love Shawl Videos. Also try following the chart or the videos along with the chart. The chart is visual. I know that some of you may be unfamiliar with knitting from charts. The stitch symbols are right there next to it to guide you. The written instructions are in the pattern, and it's a great situation to set you up to start to understand how to read a chart. But the visual nature of it, for me, I resisted charts for a long time, and then I caved and I gave in, and it just makes it so much easier to visually see which direction the decreases are going and where you're at, and watch the videos. I have row by row, stitch by stitch. I have them for you. Continental knitting, which is with the yarn in your left hand, and English style with the yarn in your right hand. So whichever method of knitting that is comfortable for you, you can follow along with either one. And reach out if you're struggling Once you've mastered the stitches, each stitch that's part of the pattern, especially that tricky slip slip purl stitch, then the rest of this the shawl uses those same stitches. It's based on all of the same stitches. There's nothing new introduced later on in the shawl. I show you how to pick up the stitches for the side panels. So I really did kind of everything I could think of to, hold your hand and walk you through this. The other thing that I will suggest, if you are struggling and you have a local yarn shop near you and you're struggling with the videos, reach out to your local yarn shop and ask them for help. And they might set up, a private lesson for you. There might be a small fee depending on the shop and what their policies are. Um, but reach out and have one of, the owner or one of the employees sit down and they can watch your hands. That's the only drawback to the online teaching I found is that it is difficult for me to watch your hands and see where you might be going wrong, and that's the wonderful value of having, a knitting instructor at your local yarn store. So let them be a resource to you if you're struggling, let them support you. Okay. So again, the LYS Love Live, the next knit night is on June 10th. That happens to be Worldwide Knit in Public Day, which I thought was absolutely perfect. So you can go and knit in the park or at your yarn shop or wherever, a child or grandchild's, cross country meet, swimming meet, basketball game, or I don't know what sports season we're in. My husband would be very upset, but, um, go be out in the world, share your love of knitting with the world, and then kick back and relax that evening. It's at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Pacific. And I hope that you'll join us. It's on Zoom. There's no charge to come, but you have to register with Zoom to get your unique link. And if you, Jerry says soccer, baseball, and lacrosse. Thank you, Jerry. Don't tell my husband. Um, and so what I will say is one of my favorite parts of the Stitch Society member is that we have a Zoom get together twice a month. And this gives an opportunity. Our next one is actually tomorrow. Um, gives an opportunity for you if you're wondering what that, kind of feels like. It's an opportunity. Come to the LYS Love Zoom knit night, and that is, how that is set up is how the coffee chats, the stitch sessions that are part of the membership are. So it'll give you kind of a preview if you've been wondering what that's all about. And the giveaway. So we've got lots of giveaways going on because I love to spoil you. I love to treat you. And so these are the giveaway prizes for the LYS Love Shawl Knit Along. So in order to be entered to win one of these prizes, you have to, I want you to create a Ravelry project page, and I want you to share photos of your shawl. And in order to keep this, fun and low pressure, you do not have to have completed the shawl in order to enter, but you do have to be working on it. And I would love if you would share progress photos, add some notes to your page, link if you can the yarn, because that helps inspire other knitters to know yarn suggestions. That's one of the things that I love about Ravelry when I'm looking at knitting a pattern is that I can see what yarns other knitters used to make theirs. So go to Ravelry to the pattern page, and so you can go to Ravelry, search for LYS Love Shawl, find the pattern, create a project, and share your photos, not the photos of my shawl, but of your shawl, of your knitting. So who wants to see the prizes? Let me know in the comments, and I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay, we got a thumbs up, so let's show those prizes. So this is courtesy of the Spinning Hand. It is a fat bottom. Angela says, yes, I do. Okay. So fat bottom bags made this adorable knit themed zipper notions pouch. It's a really nice size. I wish I had mine here. It's a nice size. It could be for like a small project too. like a 50-gram ball. Maybe socks kind of in the works. Um, so this is one of the prizes. So it's a fat bottom bag, zipper notions pouch, and I've got one of those to give away. And I'm also giving, Debbie says, I love your prizes. Thank you, Debbie. So these are Knit Keeper cords from Jonathan at the Blue U. So you'll get to pick your choice of the color, and then I will ship that out to you. And these are used, I'll just say, and you know what a notion pouch is, but the Knit Keeper cords are a thin silicone tube that you can put on the ends of your needles to take the project off the needles and put it on hold. You can use them to try on if, say, you're knitting a sweater and you want to, if it's top down or whatever, and you want to see if it fits you and how the sizing is going before you finish the whole thing. So they're really useful. So they can be kind of an extension cord to your knitting needles, or if you need to borrow the needles, and I have done this, you need to borrow that size 7 needle from one project to use it for something else. You can put the project on the Knit Keeper cords, tie it off, kind of tight so it doesn't come undone, and you can use your needles, and then you can easily get the project back on the needles. So we're giving away one of those. And a yarn ball shorty row counter from Twice Shared Sheep. These are my absolute favorite knitting accessory, knitting tool. They are much, much better for me than the clickers because, or the ring or any of the other things, because you can't really forget to move it down. Um, as you pass it, if you use it as a stitch marker, as you pass it, you'll just put your needle in the next ring down below. So I really love these. I only give you the things that I love. um, and Jerry says, oh, I love fat bottom bags. Cords are great too. Got them in one of Carrie's kits. And Chris says her row counters are awesome. And a likey wood shawl pin, your choice of the mango or rosewood, whichever goes more with your aesthetic. And I'm also giving 2 winners will get their choice of 4 knitting patterns from my collection. I just published my 45th pattern this week, so you've got quite a bunch to pick from. And we're gonna have two winners for that. And so those are the prizes so far. When I get the prizes from the yarn shop, I'll update and share those with you too. And Chris says lovely shawl pins. All right, so I have a few photos to share with you for our progress party. This is one of my favorite things, sharing your progress, inspiring each other, and seeing how far you've come. And we've got some finished projects and some works in progress too. So this is not the LYS Love Shawl, but this was last year's pattern. This was for LYS Day, was my coterie shawl. And Sutu Knits and Yarn posted this picture of Paulette wearing her coterie shawl, and she knit that using Malabrigo sock. So that was the LYS Love Shawl pattern from last year. And she finally finished it and brought it into the shop to show them. And so we celebrate all progress no matter how long it takes us to get there. So a beautiful job, and I love how happy she looks, and it's a really pretty, I love the color that she used too, and the beautiful yarn. And Shelly's shawl had a photo shoot at Swanky Mountain, and I think I got this date right. I hope I did. And it's in this beautiful kind of rusty orange color that's one of my favorite shades. And she did such a nice job. And I love that she paired it with a little skirt. And Betty Sue says, finally, after umpteen frogs, made it through row 12, and she's celebrating with champagne. Yay, perseverance wins. Absolutely. And I love seeing those lifelines, those lifesavers, sanity savers, you can call them, those little white strings that are there in her shawl. If you haven't used them when you're knitting something that you're struggling with, something complicated, they are just absolutely wonderful. You thread that strand through and through the loops of your stitches. If you use interchangeable needles, you can often, that same place where you put the key to tighten the needle tip to the cord, you can often fit very fine thread or dental floss through that hole, and then you can thread it as you knit. Or you can put the stitches on the cord of your needle is another easy way to do that. And then use your darning needle and just make sure you get every single loop and go around the stitch markers. Because otherwise, unless they're locking stitch markers, they'll be trapped. And Terry's LYS Love Shawl is Divine, Knit in Chow, a superwash merino from Jody Long Yarns. So this is another color of the yarn that I used to knit the sample. And they said it was in Sheep's Clothing Yarn Shop in Connecticut, says this shawl is a must knit and that the yarn feels more like silk after blocking. And I really love that shade that they used. And Heather, the owner of Itsy Bitsy Yarn Shop in Canada, says she's nearing the end of her LYS Love Shawl and is excited to get it on off the needles and on display. She's using Drops Sky and it is so fluffy. And we had the pleasure of getting to know Heather a little bit. She happened to be in a quiet shop during our first LYS Love Knit Night. So she hopped on and she joined us and she knit a few inches of her shawl while we were just hanging out and chatting. So she is lovely. And if you live near them, definitely check them out. And I caught this just as I was about to press go live. Debbie shared photos of her finished shawl in the group, and I snapped them up and popped them on a slide to show you. So Debbie says she loves her finished shawl, and again, I love this color too. I love how they look similar but different, and I just love seeing each one. So keep sharing your photos in the group and I will keep sharing them. I love celebrating you and celebrating your progress. You may have seen, and you may even be here specifically for the Generations Shawl launch party, which I am really excited about. And I have it with me too. And I am going to remove that for a second so I can show you the shawl. So it's a really fun knit. What I love about it is that it starts off with just a few stitches and it grows and grows and grows. And it is really, really simple and easy to adjust the size of your shawl because of the way that it is constructed, because of the stitch pattern. So you can, this is the one that I made, the one here, in this picture is just a one skein. It's one skein of fingering weight yarn. The yarn that I used for it was from Alexandra, The Art of Yarn. And it was just one skein. But if you have two skeins, keep knitting. And you can make it really as big and as generously sized as you would like. So I have a few things to show you. And to talk a little bit about the inspiration behind the shawl with you. So it's called the Generations Shawl, and there is a saying in Judaism that is Lador Vador, and that means from generation to generation when it's translated into English. And typically it's understood to mean the transmission of the cultures of your values, of your rituals, of your traditions, of the history to the next generation. And so while I was designing and knitting the shawl, I spent a lot of time thinking of the things that we all pass down from one generation to the next, the things that, my relatives and family have shared with me, and those that I am passing down myself. And I thought about the cookbook that my cousin Jenna made for my bridal shower, filled with secret family recipes. She even included some of my grandma's own handwritten recipes, copies of them, but in her own handwriting, which was really special. And I thought of my Aunt Arlene, who taught me how to crack an egg to help make her famous matzo ball soup for the holidays. And I thought of my mom and her favorite chocolate cake we'd make from scratch on rainy days and snow days. And I remember sitting on, on the counter and helping her with the electric, the electric mixer. There were no, kitchen aids. It was, the single beaters, and it was avocado colored, I believe. I think that's what the green was called. Help me out if I'm wrong. um, and getting to lick the batter from the bowl and putting it in the oven and surprising my dad when he would come home from work. And I thought of the younger generations in my family, of my children, my son George, who is learning to knit, and my niece Audrey, who always looks forward to baking funfetti cupcakes together when I visit. And she is my youngest knitting student, and she is almost 6 years old. And it's her favorite thing to do. I come to visit, and it's Aunt Jess, can we knit? Can we knit? And Jerry says, avocado, so 70s. Yes, I'm a child of the 70s. But those things lasted so much longer and better than the things that people make now. The fridge, I think, was avocado also. Um, and it lasted forever. So that was kind of my inspiration behind this shawl. And there's a beautiful song that goes with the shawl, but with the L'Adore Vador, it's a prayer. It's sung during services. And so if you're interested in hearing it, you can head over to YouTube and search for it, and you'll see a lot of different ones. But if you're interested, you can listen. Um, and Jerry says, I had avocado fridge in my first apartment. And so this is kind of a close up of the shawl. And I'm going to share in the group the difference between the shawl before blocking and after blocking. It really makes a big difference. And I really recommend using a natural fiber that will allow the lace to really open up and bloom after you've finished knitting it. And that is just a larger, bigger picture of it. So it starts in the corner, and it just keeps going and going until you're done. And so if you're in my Facebook group, you have a different code or on my email list, there's a different code for you. If you would like the 20% discount and you're not in the group, please join, and I'm happy to share that with you. Otherwise, the public discount is 15% off until Sunday, and that is Generations Party. And the pattern is available both on Ravelry and on Payhip. So that is the shawl. And Chris, as I was making the slides, Chris happened to share her beautiful shawl. And there's sparkle in this beautiful, bright, vibrant, fun yarn, but unfortunately, it doesn't show in the pictures. So what I wanted to do now is going to give a quick tour of the Stitch Society classroom, and then we'll pick the prizes. So let me share my screen. Let's see how this goes. Okay, gonna go up to the top here. Okay, so if you're a current Stitch Society member, this is the new classroom that will be ready for you in June, and it is just a cleaner, better organized, more. I found it easier to navigate, but you're not losing any content. You're gaining content. I'm always adding for you different things in here. And actually, here we go. Okay. So we're back to the beginning. So you're previewing in admin mode. And so I wanted to show you around a little bit of what is inside here. So just a little bit of a welcome from me. This is, if I don't have your Ravelry username, there's a form that you can use to share that for your pattern that you get every month from me. Um, there's a link to the private community. So if you misplaced the link or if you haven't joined yet, then you can do that there. We have a busy membership calendar. I'll show you that. And so there's a Google Calendar. You can subscribe to the calendar so you'll have the events easily accessible on your phone. So we've got this was our May calendar. So we have our LYS Love Knit Nights and these Wednesday events. And we had two Fiber Friends guests join us. I'll show you more about that. And we had our two Stitch Society, our stitch sessions. So that was a lot of fun this month. These links are here for you to easily access. Our stitch sessions are always the same Zoom link. And we have also a chit chat link where you can get together without me because I'm not always available. So we have people in different time zones. Our newest member that just joined us lives in Austria, and then we have members across in England and across the U.S., Canada, and also a member in Mexico. So I try to vary the times. We also have different schedules that we all keep, whether we, work during the day or work in the evening, whether we're morning people or evening people. So I try to change up the times. And I always include at least one that is either a weekend afternoon or an evening during the week. And then sometimes there is one that might be during the day during the week, but at least one is for those who work during the day. So we can get together either the evening or on the weekends. And then we have the Fiber Friends replays. So these are short, I would say a half hour to an hour chats with some of my favorite people in the fiber world, in the yarn world. And so we just kind of get together and chat. They share a tip or a trick, one of their favorite things with us. And so Carrie owns the Spinning Hand, which is a luxury knitting subscription box. And you may know Dawn Prickett from Twice Sheared Sheep. And when she debuted, right before she launched her Shorty cable needles, which are my favorite cable needles, she came and she joined us and kind of talked a lot about them in the process and all of that. And we had Erin James from Crafty Housewife Yarns and My Local Wool. We talked about spinning wheels. We had Heidi Stone Black from Cocoon Homespun. So she sells spinning fiber and bats, and also has a podcast, Crime, Coffee, and Crafts, with her best friend. And we've met other designers like Erin Clayton and Jennifer Parasini and Brenda Shack. We had Linda and Chris from Eagle Bend Alpaca Farm joined us for a chat. We had Emily from Wool and Palette Yarns, and she talked about picking colors for your projects, which is something I know I often struggle with. We had Irina from Fiber Chats podcast, and she has interviewed pretty much anyone you can think of in the knitting world at this point, and she's still going, and she hosts knit-alongs, and she's so much fun. And I got to be a guest on her show, and then I invited her to join me. And we met Aletha from Willow Oak Farm and Fiber, and that is why Debbie now has has an Angora bunny again. And so we saw a lot about the bunnies and stuff, which was great. And Carol LeBaron is a textile artist, and she joined us. And Alexis from My Two Ladies makes knitting needles and crochet hooks and Tunisian hooks that are great when your hands ache or working on big, heavy projects. And Jonathan Sutton from The Blue U also joined us. And we've got also a Stitch and Technique library, which I still have a bunch of videos to add in here. The whole entire Mosaic Knitting mini challenge that we did in the fall in the Facebook group, everything is all in here. So if you've never knit, if you're a member and you haven't knit Mosaic Knitting, then you have access to everything that I taught, and different downloads and resources, cheat sheets, a yarn usage calculator, project tracker cards, a habit tracker, gift tags, a coloring page for one of my shawls. So that is a sneak peek into the Stitch Society classroom. And let's see what else. I want to also mention the bonus for that, and then we'll do the prizes. So Stitch Society bonus for the next, I should have updated that, 21 members get a surprise gift for my birthday mailed to your home in August. To celebrate my birthday. I want to celebrate my birthday with you, so you'll get a gift too. And now let us draw those prizes. Let me see if there's any comments here. Jean says, I like knitting shawls with lace stitches. I like designing shawls with lace stitches, so I think we're a good fit. Okay, so let me share my screen with the wheel of names. And it's one of my favorite things on the internet. So before we went live, I grabbed everyone's. This is your first name and your Ravelry username to make my life a little bit simpler when I go to give you the Generations shawl pattern as a gift. And if you are a Stitch Society member, then you will have received that pattern as a gift. So, but I don't want to discredit you or discount your participation. So if you're a Stitch Society member, I'll reach out and you can pick a different pattern from my collection. So you can still win a prize. All right, so let us be a little bit like Vanna White and spin that wheel to pick our first winner. Oh, I have to click to spin. And congratulations to Maria. Let me take a quick screenshot. Perfect. This way I can make sure that I reach out to you. All right, we're going to remove Maria and we are going to spin for the second prize. Okay, so Larry, Donna JB is the second winner. Congratulations. All right, and let's spin that wheel one last time for the third prize. And Katrina wins. All right, so I can stop sharing that. So congratulations to all of our winners, and I'm so excited for you all. And I will just quickly share again, because people have reached out and asked about the pricing and how all of that works. If you're interested in joining the membership, I would love to have you. We are going to close the doors in June, and I'll make sure I make an announcement about that. So it's $21 a month, and you get everything included. I don't hold anything back. But I do have options for different payment plans. The best deal, what is happening to my throat? Annual is obviously is the best deal. You get 2 months free when you join for a year. Works out to be about 20% savings. So it's $210 every year. You can break that into a little bit smaller payment and do $115 every 6 months. You save 10%, and it works out to 1 month free every year. And then also the monthly plan is there if that is more attainable for you. So I would love to have you. If you have questions about the membership, please reach out and let me know. You'll get a pattern every month, priority pattern support, stitch and technique library, 2 monthly private stitch sessions, Fiber Friends interviews, unlimited Zoom chats with other members, and you'll get free admission to future workshops, which ranges typically from $37 to $50 per workshop. And I'm going to be announcing very soon our next workshop, so stay tuned for those details. Right here. So you get 3 bonus workshops when you join with on-demand access, the Beginner's Guide to Lace Knitting, Conquer Cable Knitting, and my Oops workshop to help you fix your mistakes. So the other 2 workshops for this year, you'll get a taste of brioche, and which is brioche knitting, and we're gonna conquer different types of brioche and also fixing your brioche mistakes. And also, we're going to knit socks together. The pattern will include, and the workshop will include information so you can knit those either toe up or top down, whatever you prefer. And those workshops, because they're kind of intensive, will be $50 per workshop. So that's $317 in bonuses just in the workshops, not even counting all the other things. And you get an ongoing discount on yarn and needles at the Spinning Hands. You get a special code that you can use. And if you're interested in learning more, doublestitches.com/Stitch Society is the link for that. And I had one person who had posted in the group that I saw a Q&A. If you have questions, definitely, whether they're about either one of the shawls or the membership or anything else, you're welcome to ask those in the chat. The question that I saw posted was from Dorothy. And they said, I assume the measurements will change a bit once it dries and comes off the block. But right now it is measuring 38 inches by 16 instead of 40 by 11. She did mention that she used sport weight yarn, which is thinner than DK weight yarn. And so she's wondering, will I need to make any changes to the next sections or just keep on the same? So I have the schematic here just so we can talk through it together. So that center section is, I wouldn't adjust anything on the height. I wouldn't really worry about the height too much, but the width of it. So my center panel was 40 inches wide, and yours, Dorothy, was 38. So yours is 2 inches smaller. Jody Long Chow is a superwash merino yarn. It is kind of a plump yarn, I felt. And so that might also be part of the reason that mine was a little bit bigger, and also superwash grows and grows and grows and then keeps growing. So yours might be a little bit smaller. And so what you can do, and this is really kind of knitter's choice and really personally up to you. I think I'm not wearing my glasses, but it looks like so the full width of my finished shawl was 76 inches. You can easily adjust in the stockinette section. You can easily add an inch on each side if you want, which would compensate for your center panel being 38 inches instead of 40. So that's an easy place to add that adjustment. But if you don't mind a shawl or prefer a shawl that is a little bit, not as wide, a little bit shorter or narrower, whichever way you want to look at it, then you can just, continue on with the instructions exactly as they're written. You'll still have the same number of places to pick up stitches along your side panel, so I wouldn't worry about that. And I think you'll really be good to go. If you have more questions about it, definitely reach out and ask and let me know. So does anyone watching have any questions? Ask me anything. And if not, then I will just leave this up here to remind you all that you need to register. That you need to register to join for the LYS Love the knit night, because that is on Zoom. So you have to register to get your own unique link, and I'll send a reminder before as well. Jerry said add extra lace at the end. So that is definitely another option, another way to go instead of adding extra stockinette to the side panels. Oh, I'm so glad you're here, Dorothy. Um, so Jerry said add extra lace to the end. So that is another way to go. If you don't want more stockinette, you can add another repeat of lace instead of working the lace at the end on the sides twice. You can work it a third time, and that might be good. You can um, one thing you can do is knit it as it is and put the instead of binding off the stitches, you can put those on scrap yarn, because I know you said you had a bunch of extra yarn, so you wouldn't have to cut the yarn on one side. You can then just pick up on the other side and knit that, and then see how big it is at the end before deciding if you want to add extra lace. So there's lots of different ways. That was one of the fun things about designing this, was building in different places where you can customize it, adjust it, and make it your own. So I hope that that helps. And if anyone else has any other questions for me, definitely let me know. And if you are watching this on the replay and you have questions, feel free and go ahead and comment or reach out to me. And I look forward to chatting with you all on Knit Night on June 10th. Take care. Have a great night, and I'll see you in the group.